Hello, everyone. My name is Dorla Aparicio. I am a group piano teacher in Texas, USA, and I love to come here once a week and have a conversation with amazing group piano teachers. And we talk about group piano and everything else that's going on in their studios. And today I have Maureen Karpan. Oh, I never asked you how to pronounce your last name, so
You
sorry.
said it perfectly.
Please introduce yourself, Maureen, and tell us what's going on in your part of the world today.
Oh, well, I'm in San Jose, California, and it's Wednesday, right? So my part of the world, I start teaching at 11 a.m. today, and go to about 6 p.m. So not a bad day. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. So I see all these instruments in your studio. You're in your studio, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I see guitars, electric guitars, acoustic piano, and is that a keyboard by the fireplace? Wow.
Those are paper. Those are
Oh,
paper. You
keyboard.
know, yeah, the laminated keyboards they can stick on that they don't make any noise. They can
Oh,
have them on the floor while they figure out the patterns and what we're going to play and when we get to the real piano.
okay. I need some of those.
Oh, yeah, I love those. I love them. I can point you to how I made them, how I
Oh,
got
you
them made.
made them.
Well, I had them made, so they're part, what do you call this material? I don't know what you call it, but they're rigid.
Uh-huh.
And um, there's paper that a copy store put on this backing. I
Oh,
forget
I
what it's
see.
called. And they laminated it so I can use whiteboard markers on it, and they wipe clean. And yeah, I love these.
Yes, in a group lesson, those are like essential.
Yeah, and then I have some digital pianos off camera in front of me. I don't have as many as you do. My studio is kind of small, but I've settled on just I have 3 digital pianos in here as well as the acoustic piano.
So how did you get started in group piano?
So I did a career change about 11 or 12 years ago to teaching piano. So I'm not your typical went to
Okay.
college and majored in music story. um, I've done a lot of jobs in my life, and I've always done music on the side. I grew up doing band and piano lessons and choir and that kind of story. And I always tried to have a piano in my life as I went on because it was relaxing to me. And then I was in folk music bands for
Mm.
since I was 28, so that's a long time. Playing some various instruments, not pianos, but accordion was my main instrument, and so I was teaching accordion on the side. And then about 12 years ago, I was working in Silicon Valley high tech, and I got laid off, and I was like, I told my husband, I think I'm going to teach piano lessons, and he said, "You're going to what?" I said, "I'm going to teach piano." And I did. I just made a career to doing music full time, and that was a happy day for me.
Wow.
And I
That
started teaching groups right from the get-go, by the way. Because I
okay.
love making music with other people. So I'm not one that was like, oh, okay, I had private lessons and I transitioned to group lessons. I said right away, I'm going to figure out how to do this in groups. And I thought, well, I'm going to teach piano because, I play at an intermediate level, um, and it's what parents want, piano lessons. I mean,
Mhm.
so that's how I got started doing that.
So did you use a particular method when you started doing your group?
I
Or
did.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I started with Suzuki
Oh,
because
okay.
I knew people that grew up doing Suzuki violin. Of course, that's the most famous instrument you think of Suzuki for. But then I found out, oh, they have Suzuki for piano. And I found out that groups aren't unusual. So I did a summer of Suzuki training at an institute, and then I observed other teachers teaching Suzuki in groups and master teachers around here. And I started doing that. And then I thought, it was great for teaching 4, 5, 6-year-old kids, but I thought I want to teach other ages. And I thought, are they going to want to stand Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star for 3 months while they perfect their technique? I thought, I don't know about this for older people. And so then I found a method called Simply Music, and I did that for about 10 years. And I'm sort of evolving out of teaching that method for various reasons. But that one, there are also a fair number of teachers in Simply Music that teach groups. So.
Yes, very nice. Now, were these methods similar to what you were doing in with other instruments?
No, the only thing I've taught before is accordion, and very part-time, because I do Cajun and Zydeco music on the button accordion, like
Wow.
this one up here. I mean, I'm not talking keyboard accordion, I'm talking button accordions. And I have a keyboard accordion, but I'm really bad at it, so I would never purport to teach that to anybody. And I don't, all these other instruments, I'm a dilettante. Like, I love playing different instruments, and I do put them into the hands of my students and show them basic things on them. And just to give them an idea, you can, you can go wherever you want. You can play whatever you want. Piano is a great starting point for a lot of things. But I guess the second most one I would play is a guitar, but I don't teach it other than to my own piano students a little bit.
Oh, I see. So how many groups do you have currently?
I don't know how many groups. I have 45 students currently.
And they're all in groups?
And they're all in groups, except for one special needs boy I've had always private. And then here's one reason I'm in transition, is I started a lot of these people when they were little, and now they're graduating. And so now I'm at the point they're in middle school, high school, or graduated. And that's why at my peak, I had about 65 students, and now I'm down to 45. I'm like, and our youngest is going to college. And when she was in elementary school, that was a natural source of piano students. And in the mom's group, she was little and all that. And then that's not there anymore. And so word of mouth is what I have. I don't really advertise, and things are changing. But anyway, okay, 45 students right now. How many groups? I'd say my groups are, and you asked about privates. My high schoolers, you know how it is, they get into sports and then they can't make their piano lesson time. So I've always tried to be flexible. So my group classes, for 2 people, it's 40 minutes, for 3, it's 45, and for 4 or more, it's 50
Oh, I
an
did
hour.
see that on your website. Yeah. So you change the time depending on how many students you have. Yeah, that's very interesting.
It works. I kind of like your way of an hour is an hour is an hour, and it's just really clean cut. So I don't know. Maybe I'll change. But anyway, so when they get into sports and whatnot and they can't make it, I'll give them temporary 20-minute private lessons till they can get back with a group. And often on Zoom because they're too busy to get here. And so now I have like 4 or 5 or 6 students in that situation. And
wow. So when you say that you're in transition, are you thinking that you want to transition into advertising and, starting to get more students back again and more groups? Or are you transitioning into, it's okay to have less and I want to do less teaching? What is your transition?
It's more the former. I don't feel ready to dial back.
Are you going to continue doing Simply Music? I know you do piano pyramid also.
I've moved out of Simply Music for the most part, and I'm yes, I also use Piano Safari, and I'm using your material. And the other thing I do right now is I'm using Bradley Sowash's That's Jazz for my groups. That works so well. I'm developing a whole program around how to do multi-level classes with his That's Jazz books. And
what age groups do you use with that age group?
They are right now tweens and teens and adults.
Perfect.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. So, but the younger ones that I've started new, I'm using Piano Safari, and I love it. And I think it works really well for groups. Me, I just jumped right into it with level 1, and am just kind of making it up as I go along, how to do the group
Okay.
part of it.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
still
That's
learning.
that's
Yeah,
wonderful.
and then I'm mixing in, so for not the Piano Safari beginners, but for all the rest of them, I've been using your materials too, Piano
Oh,
Pyramid.
piano
So
pyramid.
for example, we're doing some Bradley Soash jazz and we're doing spring because it kept raining here. And I said, we're gonna usher in spring by doing this multi-level spring. And so I have a lot of my groups doing that.
Wonderful. I love that. I love that. So, have you always, I think you mentioned this at the beginning, were you always a musician since?
Well, yeah, I grew up, I did piano lessons from age 9 to 18. I played clarinet and band. When I got to college, I was in a 300-piece marching band that I loved. So I continued
Okay.
playing clarinet through college. I didn't do piano in college other than just for myself.
So your
Classical
training,
guitar.
you mentioned that you were in Silicon Valley working in IT. So do you
Yeah.
have training in that also?
No, I mean sort of. I was a liberal arts major in college and I did various jobs through my young adulthood. I went to graduate school out here, but liberal arts, decided I didn't want to be an academic, so kind of left that path.
Okay.
And then in the when I was in my 30s, I looked at my meager bank account and I looked and said, Silicon Valley is right here. How do I get in on this? And so I took a
Yeah.
few computer classes and I did things like tech writing and business systems analyst. I've always been the person and kind of managing websites, but I've been the person in between the audience and the engineers. You know what I mean?
Got it.
I'm not a software engineer by any stretch. I'm more the person that writes up requirements for the
Okay.
engineers to build.
I see. Okay, so what are you going to do? What do you do in the summer? It's April right now. Teachers are gearing up to get ready for summer. Um,
Yes.
what are you going to
So
do?
what I do in summers, what I've settled on in the beginning, I just went forward with my regular group classes and they would fall apart because families go on vacations and kids go
Yeah.
into summer camps, right? So I was like, that doesn't work. So the second summer, I completely took off. And then the students forgot so much when they came back. Um, one thing Simply Music stresses that I really believe in, and I'm continuing to do, is maintaining a repertoire of songs you can play anytime, anywhere for anybody.
Mhm.
So if somebody says, "Oh, here you're taking piano," I don't want my student to be like, "I don't have my music with me. I can't do anything." You know, I want to sit down and play
Yes.
music, and I want them to, in my groups, to be able to sit and play together without having their head buried in music all the time. There's a place for that for sure. I grew up in band, and I like your multi-level scores and all that, but I also want them to be able to sit without music and play.
So
So
important.
in the summertime, I don't want them to forget the repertoire over the summer. So one parent said, please don't ever do that again. Take the summer off. And I was like, yeah, my income can't take that either. So,
Yes.
so then I settled on the summers. I just do something different. It's a chance for me to teach things that I'm interested in teaching that aren't really ready for prime time.
Okay.
So I have hour-long classes, like accompaniment, or we'll do a deep dive into reading, or ukulele. They'll
Mhm.
learn 3, 4, 5 chords on the ukulele, and we'll just strum and sing. Or guitar. I usually put uke and guitar together in the same class.
And are you
Or
doing that in a group setting or private?
yes, or jamming. No, 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 all group. And so I just put up a sign up sheet and people sign up for the time slots that work for them. And I try to make it a little bit more, um, I try to take more vacation in the summer and I let them sign up for 2, usually back to back classes. So, and I usually have parents stay during lessons for the young ones, but for summer, they can drop their kids and leave for 2 hours. So parents like that. I sometimes move all the keyboards out to the backyard and hold the lessons in the
Oh,
backyard.
nice.
So that way people can, and that way people meet other ones in the studio, they try out new skills. I
Yes.
get ideas for putting stuff into my regular curriculum if it worked out. If it didn't work out, I'm like, oh well, you know.
Yeah.
So
That
that's how
is
I work
great.
summers.
That is great. And so you're able to add some variety and also keep your income. I think that's what we all want is those, especially When I hear you say, oh, we took the keyboards outside, that is nearly impossible in Texas in the summer.
Oh,
It's so
right,
hot. And then right
right.
now in the spring, it's so nice, but it's raining. So
Yeah,
that usually has
yes.
never been an option for my students. But adding that variety to your summer lessons, I like the way that you're doing them. Um, Teaching a totally different instrument and having a jam session for 2 hours. So how do you handle a newcomer on ukulele with somebody that is already pretty good at the ukulele and they're in the same class?
Right. So they have to be somewhat self-driven.
Okay.
Um, if they already are really good with their three chords, um, trying to think of examples. I had an adult, so I just give her chord charts for more advanced chords that
Okay.
she could work on.
Okay.
Um, I think they kind of expect it's not going to be a very advanced class. It's just,
Yeah.
you
Okay.
know,
Okay. That makes sense. I see here a comment by Jennifer. Hey Jennifer, I'm glad you're here. That she wish she could also take advantage of outdoor, but she's in Arizona. Arizona.
uh,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
there's no way. We'd bake. We'd bake
right,
outside.
right.
Well, Maureen, what plans do you have for this coming year with your groups? Is there anything
So,
new that you're doing?
yeah, I mean, I, I'm really in a space. I don't know. Our youngest started going off to college. Is just messing with my head. It's like, okay, it's time to. What am I doing with my life? One reason I decided to teach piano lessons is so I could be home with her because the first I went back to work when she was 10 months old and worked full time till she was 3 or 4, and it was hard. For me, it was so hard. And I thought, okay, if I teach piano lessons, I can be home and she can be home. Of course, I wasn't real brilliant with the knowledge that, of course, I'm going to have most of my students after school, and that's when she's home. And
Yes.
so I worked on. I have a fair number of adults and homeschoolers in the daytime, and I love that.
Mm,
And I don't teach past 6 p.m. so we can have family dinner and all that.
beautiful.
I try to keep things before that. But now that she's not going to be home and she's gotten very independent in the last few years anyway, it's making me be like, what's next? What do I still want to teach? What am I doing with my life? What am I meant to do here? And so maybe renting a space, and I have chickens outside and dogs, and it's kind of hard teaching from your home. And we have an open floor plan, so I can't close off the room. It's curtains. So
Yeah.
if somebody's watching TV in the other room, sound bleeds through,
Yes.
I, I'm ready. It's like to explore, well, maybe I don't want to teach out of my home. And could I possibly afford renting a spot? And what would that mean for how many students I would need? And so
Maureen,
stay tuned.
I was not expecting you to say that. I thought you were going to say, well, I'm ready to go travel the world and retire. And you surprised me totally with, I'm going to the next level. I love that. That is
I
awesome.
am ready to travel the world as well. I keep telling my husband we need to travel more, and so I'm looking at all these pets I've amassed, and I'm looking at my piano teacher career. But I guess I'm still in the mode of wanting it all, Dorla. So I know I've got to
Yes.
figure
We can
out
have it all, not just all at the same time.
exactly. That's what they say.
Well, thank you, Maureen, for having this conversation with me today. I love getting to know each one of you teachers, and I always learn something new, and I'm surprised by the comments that you share with me. Is there anything you want to share with the teachers before we say goodbye?
If anybody's going to NCKP and wants to share a hotel room, I would love to split costs with another group piano teacher and get to know somebody else. And I'm
Yeah.
glad you're going to be there, Dorla. And other than that, I look forward to seeing people at Group Illuminated. And
Yes,
that's it.
yes. You should have mentioned the room earlier. I would have shared with you, but I already have
Oh,
somebody with me, so but
yeah.
I'll be excited to meet you.
Okay. Me
Yeah.
too.
That'd be great. All right, everyone. Thank you for everyone that has commented and those of you that are watching later on. Maureen, if you get a chance, will you add your website on the comments so people can get to know more about you? And I forgot to ask you about your band. Are you still performing with your band?
Yes, but not as much because I moved down to San Jose and my other members are up in
Oh,
Berkeley.
okay.
Anyway, it's about 45 minutes away, so not as
That makes
much,
it
but I love playing with the band. Absolutely.
okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Maureen. And we'll see everyone next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Darla. Bye-bye.